Hi, my name's Infinite, and you're listening to Infinite Rocket Power. This podcast will be updated on a weekly or bi weekly basis regarding topics in my life and different aspects and perspectives about life. Today's topic is tainted and toxic. How do you deal with how do you deal with people without being poisoned? In today's society, it seems harder and harder to deal with people in all spaces. People have less awareness of themselves and especially of those around them. And in in that type of atmosphere, it makes it difficult to maneuver in, especially if you have to deal with these people on a consistent basis. Today, we are going to speak on ways to preserve our peace by dealing with toxic people that have lack of awareness and lack of empathy. But before we get started, if you love Kate Spade, Bessie Johnson, or any other exclusive jewelry, please visit www.prosperityboutique.com and be sure that you like and subscribe. And we are also going to introduce our guest today, starting with Miss Shay Arts.
How you doing, everyone? I'm Shay. Um, that's all I had
Where are you from, Miss
to
Shay? What do you do? I mean, Shay Arts, who is that? What is that?
say. I'm sorry. I was missed my child up under me. But hi, how you doing? I'm Shay Arts. I'm a full time artist. I'm a mother. I'm a homeschool teacher. I'm also a wife. And I'm in the metaverse to create the type of art that I like to see that gives people the feeling. And sorry, my family up under me. And I do it all for my family. They're always around me, supporting me in my journey here in the metaverse, creating and just uplifting others and just spreading my art message of peace, love, and art.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank
Yay!
you. Welcome. Mr. Kingpin 813. How you doing this evening?
I'm all right. Just chilling. Just getting up, really. I had a long night last night at work, so
All right.
I'm
And
always working.
today's your birthday, is it not?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
oh, my bad.
Oh, my bad.
I
I
want to
gotta
get
be
my
on this
confetti
one.
back, but no, I'm good. My bad.
Yeah,
sorry.
I wish.
Oh,
That
okay.
would have been perfect.
Any
Nah.
shout outs for your business or anything? You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I'm King. I'm actually on the creating journey. I just started creating in the metaverse about a month ago, month and a half ago. I got a few worlds that I'm tossing around a little bit, but still trying to publish something. I also have a podcast. I sporadically just go in there and, do random podcasts, but I do have a Sunday erotic podcast on Sunday nights. So, you know, it's mostly ladies, but men's, hey, y'all welcome to come too. Um, but yeah, for right now, that's just it. I ain't doing too much right now, but just trying to create some things and produce.
Okay. And we appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome. All right, we have Mr. Teray Love in the building. How you doing, Mr. Teray?
I am doing great. I'm doing great.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Uh, I'm Teray Love, and I live in North Carolina, and I like to play. Yep, I'm just joking. I'm joking. No, y'all remember the Wood? I'm from North Carolina. No, anyway. Now, I'm Teray Love. I'm a music producer and a musician. So,
All
All
right.
right, thank you. Welcome. All right, we have Mr. Xavion in the building. Xavion 47. How you doing, Xavion?
What's good? What's poppin'? 901, Big Memphis Energy, you know the vibe. But I'm a creator in Horizon World. Check me out. I got different things, different houses, lounges, you name it. But it's me.
All right, you just recently hosted your first comedy show. Is that not correct?
Girl, I did. Yeah, wait. Ah, wait.
Hold it. Just hold it.
Okay.
There we
I'm
go.
sorry. Y'all, yes, I had hosted my first little poetry night last night. It went out fucking amazing. Um, everybody did amazing. Anthony, talk your shit. Shay, talk your shit. Everybody talk their shit. It was really amazing. So we might do another one soon. Watch out.
Yeah,
Coming for
so
y'all next.
be on the
Please
lookout
do
for Mr.
another one. I can definitely
Xavion47.
do
Make sure you subscribe to his Instagram. Now we have Miss B
Mm-hmm.
Aroma Scent in the building. How you doing, B?
Hello, everyone. Hello. My name is B, and I'm the owner of B Aroma Scent. And I market my business here in Horizon at B's Beauty Supply Store. I make 100% organic herb infused and nut ingredient free hair and beard products. Come see me.
Yes, and that's at www.baromascent.com.
Yes.
All right, and we also have Mr. Dick Tracy in the building. How you doing,
Woo,
Trey?
woo, woo.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm Dick Tracy. I'm happy to be here. I'm an author, poet. I do a lot of poetry here in Horizon Worlds. I'm also a photographer, videographer, um, and a student of life.
I am loving it. I'm loving it. A lot of entrepreneurs in the building. Okay, and we also have Miss Zaria Page in the building right now. She's in with us in spirit, but she will be with us physically momentarily. All right, let's see here. Now, on the topic, when we speak on tainted and toxic, we are speaking on behaviors. Some people have these behaviors that I'm about to list, but they are not limited to lack of support, envy or jealousy, toxic communication, controlling behavior, resentment, dishonesty, patterns of disrespect, negative financial behaviors, constant stress and worry, lost relationships, lack of self care, hoping for change, walking on eggshells. All these behaviors are major offenses and can place a person in a not so great disposition. Starting with Shay Arts. Let's see here. What's my question? So I just said a lot. Hold on 1 second. Okay, before we get to Shay Arts, with those behaviors going on, they can also affect people by diminishing their self-worth, causing you stress, separating your family, or instilling fear inside of you. Shay, what are some ways that you deal with that type of behavior around you when you have to work with people on a consistent basis?
Um, I guess it does depend on like how often I am around them. Like with strangers, I can give them a little more leeway because I'm not entertaining them. But for people I get close to and I see those type of behaviors, I either address them on it, not for them to change, but to let them know how it may affect me. Um, and if we can't like come to a compromise, I usually just block them and move on, or just love them from a distance. But yeah, that's about my way to go with everybody. I get to know you, and I can accept you as a person. If those specific behaviors affect me in a negative way, I'm gonna let you know. Whether you decide to change or not, I'm gonna move in the way that's gonna give me peace. So I either continue to accept it about you, or I just move on. But if I had to deal with like in the workplace where I have no choice, especially like with coworkers or if we're working together in a group of randoms, um, I usually just give grace to them and just take it as part of their personality as long as it doesn't, you know, actually affect anything I have going on.
Okay, I
So
can.
I either accept it
Mhm.
and move on.
Yes, I can definitely respect that. All right, Kingpin.
Same question.
Yep, and raise your hand. Did the box come up? There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. So you can repeat the question for me, please.
When you have those type of behaviors around you, how do you deal with that? When it's affecting you and your self worth, it's instilling fear in you. What do you some ways that you work around that in different elements and spaces?
Okay, well, just like Shay said, some of the people I don't encounter on a daily basis, kind of give them a pass. But also people that I do encounter with those kind of behaviors on a daily basis, I just separate myself from them. I don't even deal with them at the workplace. I just I'm to myself at work anyway because of my position, so I just don't be bothered with those behaviors. But I do see them all the time. So it's people losing their jobs with those kind of behaviors. So I just focus on what I need to focus on and let them do what they do.
Do you oftentimes make them aware of that?
Oh yeah, I definitely let you know. I ain't scared to speak my piece, but it's gonna be on them to change that so that they don't either get looked at a negative in a negative sense or either have negative consequences come to them. So
Right, Mr. Terry Love.
Uh, I agree with Shay and Kingpin. Extending grace to them, because you don't know. But as far as people that you close with, from what I learned from therapy, you got to set boundaries. You know, got to set boundaries, and it's okay to set boundaries. You know, for with your family or people you close with, and just setting boundaries. But for the most part, um, yeah, I agree with. It's just extending grace to them.
Okay. Is setting boundaries a trial and error thing?
For me, it's not. Like I might have some family members. I'm like, bro, they keep calling me about their problems or stuff like that. Like sometimes I don't want to hear that. I got to protect my peace. I guess my biggest thing is protecting my peace. So I'm not finna let somebody else take my joy the way I feel because they got problems. We all got problems. So I just set them boundaries. Like I put them on block for a little while. And then they'll, sooner or later they'll get the drift and be like, okay, okay. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Miss B Aroma Scent.
Mm. You know I got ice in my mouth. I'm with Teray Low. Boundaries are so important, very important for everybody, for you, for your health, because allowing toxic people to injure you, injure your peace, injure your mental, that's unhealthy for you. And when it comes to my health, I'm not letting nobody injure me.
Okay. Okay. But it seems like it's like a retroactive thing rather than a proactive thing.
Yeah, because some people some people I think they don't understand the things that they do, and some people do understand what they're doing, and it's done intentionally. But those who don't understand because of what they're mimicking what they've seen, what they're used to, their culture, or how they were raised. But still in all, it still comes down to boundaries. Stop. You're not gonna hurt me. No. And you have to let people know right then. Don't let it go on, don't let it travel. Let it know right then. If I step on your foot, if I keep walking past you and step on your foot and you never say ouch, I'm always gonna keep walking past you and stepping on your foot. But the day you say ouch, you acknowledge and you let me know that I'm hurting you. I know when I walk past you to go the other way because I used to step on your foot. If you never tell people what they're doing to you, they'll continue to do it.
So let me ask you this before we get to Davion right quick. It seems, but sometimes people might have a hard time telling you right then and there because they might not be in a calm space to address you without
Mm-hmm.
disrespecting you because you might have just disrespected me without you knowing it.
Well, I'm like my mama. Where you show your ass at is where you get it.
Man, man, come on, B. Come on. She stay on point every time.
I'm sorry. That's how it is. Either you're gonna acknowledge what you've done and fix it, or you're gonna get my wrath. And then you can't be mad because you caused this. And it's not disrespecting you when you disrespected me. I'm giving it back to you as you gave it to me. You get what you give.
Yeah.
And you can't expect anything less when you're giving toxicity. And you cannot expect not to get toxicity back. And that's all to it.
Yeah. All right. Xavier 47, what you got to say about that?
Um, I say the old me kind of still got the old me a little bit, but the old me, I had an incident at a job. I had a supervisor. He came and disturbed my peace with some dumb shit and some messy shit, right? And the old me, you know what I'm saying? I had blew up, started cussing, do. And I thought I did the right thing to call my temp agency because I was going through a temp service at the time. And I'm calling her, telling her like, hey, so and so came over here, he did X, Y, and Z. Boom. So, she asked me that I have other witnesses. And it was two other people that was right there, you know what I'm saying? They heard, they seen everything. So I'm thinking they gonna have my back and everything, y'all. Tell me why I get back to work. The lady called me in the office. She like, well, I heard that you cussed out the supervisor. Do. So here we got your papers. You lost your job. No, just like, no, this nigga got me fucked up. Like, you not gonna do me like that. Yo, like my whole piece was so disturbed. Like, you really just made me lose my job because you came over there on some dumb shit. So, yeah, never again. Hopefully, I don't get this type of energy no more. But now I feel like shit, I could just confront you about something. You know what I'm saying? I need to get it out instead of have to blow up all the time. So this the best route that I can do. Or shit, if you know that you fucked up, bitch, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you no more. Or I don't want to talk about it no more because you know what you did. So that's how I go about it.
So, did it take for that situation to happen for you to realize that, maybe I need to calm
Hell
down
yeah,
with
bitch, that was my job. Girl, I'm talking
Yeah.
about I was there for like almost a year and some change. I was just now getting used to everything. I used to work at a computer warehouse, fix my Apple house and shit. Girl, who didn't want that job? I sat there all fucking day. Yeah, that was the best job I had, but I had somebody that fucked up my piece and I had to unleash it. Like, why would you do that? But nobody didn't see where I was coming from, so I just had to take another route.
And you did some self reflection after that.
Shit, did I?
Okay.
It ain't worth it at the job, but somebody got you fucked up and you just feel like you need to. Hey, take that route. But other than that, you don't want to lose your job.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Tracy, what do you got to say?
Yes, good question. Um, I know you and I offline have had a couple of conversations about this, so I'm pretty excited to answer this and share some stories here later on. But I think like when you're dealing with those kind of people, when I deal with those kind of people, I don't I don't unleash the beast anymore. That's not my go-to instinct. I like to be a little bit more tactful in how I approach somebody, regardless of how they approach me or how they come at me, because you're not going to disturb my inner peace. I have my external environment, my internal environment, and you are part of my external environment.
Mm.
And you're not going to disrupt my internal environment, right? So I'm going to find a tactful way to figure out why are you the way you are, because it could be a temporary thing. You could come in with a bad attitude. If we're talking about a workplace incident, you come in with a bad attitude and you just acted some kind of way. I know that's not your behavior. That's not usually who you are. So I'm going to take the time to try to learn about you, because that's ultimately what we're here to do, to learn from each other on a much bigger scale. We learn from each other, right? And you being toxic or all these other things that you've listed off, I'm learning about you. You're showing me that's who you are. And now I know how to tactfully deal with you.
Mm,
And that's what I do.
mm. So is that your way of that's your way of accepting them? So you're not accepting the behavior, you're just working around them to where it's not a liability to your aura.
I'm not working around them. In a way, I'm working around them. I was gonna say I'm not adapting to them. I'm not adapting to their behavior. I'm not adapting to it at all. But I am understanding who they are, and again, with that knowledge, it helps me to be able to get you to move the way that I need you to move around me, to adapt around me, to not destroy or conflict with my internal peace.
Love it, love it, love it. So, with all that being said, let me ask you all this. Can toxic relationships be fixed? And but before you answer, they said that they had a list of signs on how it can be fixed. They had, a list of signs. And these signs that it can be fixed are they accepted responsibility. They're willing to invest. They shift the blaming to understanding, and they opened up to outside help. So with that being said, Shay, you're dealing with this toxic person, the toxic behavior. Are you willing to fix this relationship? Can this relationship be fixed in your eyes?
Um, Once again, I think it depends on the relationship I'm trying to have with them. Like with a loved one, with a family member, it's a little bit harder because you sometimes have that sense of like guilt, and trying to cut them off because they're supposed to be family. But if they're constantly displaying things that are harmful that causes harm or disruption to your life, then family or not, you have to like learn to let that guilt go you know, to let them go so you won't have to deal with it. But like with a loved one, it's different. Depends on like me and my husband. Been together for a long time, and a lot of those years we're just getting to know each other. So some things that may seem toxic may really just be a misunderstanding of that person, and whether or not you have the capability to understand where that person's coming from and why they do what they do. And in that, and I learned I have toxic behavior. We all have our own little toxic behaviors. And once I understand like what minds are, when enough different people tell you the same thing, you gotta understand that whether you see it or not, you have to take responsibility for that's how you're coming off.
Mm.
And so, yeah, like with our situation, it took years of learning each other and learning whether or not those behaviors were worth keeping or whether it was just a misunderstanding of why that person was, the way they are. And with that, you build, but it's hard dealing with other people. But it is it's hard dealing with other people outside of the love relationship because um sometimes you just don't want to deal with it. But sometimes the toxic behavior, especially if it's a specific type of behavior, sometimes they don't understand that it is toxic until you don't speak up and say it. A lot of things go unsaid and you just move differently. But that person might not even realize that this is what they're doing until you let them know. And then they have the option of looking up at them upon themselves and seeing if this is really me or is this is how I'm reacting to whatever. So
So let me ask you this,
yeah, I
Shay.
just do this.
Why is it that sometimes, like when relationships with women, you women are willing to accept, like let's say you and Teray are married, or y'all are together, whatever. You're more willing to accept his toxic behavior, even though I understand y'all been together for 20 years. Me and you been friends for 10 years, and I say, I let call you out on some things and your toxic behavior, but you're willing to cut me off as a friend, but you've been dealing with his fuck shit the whole goddamn 20 years.
That is true. So therein lies whether you're willing to deal with it or to move on. And so if you're deciding that this is who you want to be with and certain things come along with it, if it's toxic and you know it's toxic and you're able to tell that person and they recognize it's toxic, then that's a learning process of getting out of those habits and then it won't continue. But if you're with someone and they're consistently showing you that this is who they are, then ain't nothing to cut them off. Like, and so I would deal with a person that understands his toxicity, and when those moments happen, I'm like, look, you're being toxic now. He's like, oh, okay, I see that, and we're gonna uh same way he does for me. But with a friend, like, girl, you know me, we've been rocking, like you might whatever. So when you do this, you're doing this. You know, you should know me enough to know that this is not how we rock, and so this relationship is just maybe more important than relationship.
So you're
And that's
saying
it.
accountability levels are different based off the relationship?
I'm not how it's not the accountability. It comes down to what are you willing to accept, and it's about what do you define as a toxic behavior. If someone's doing something that's causing whatever, that's one thing. If a person has a personality trait that's coming off and manifesting itself in these situations, and you understand that's a trait that you're able to work with or not, if you're able to work with it and you're able to help that person recognize in the moments, and so it becomes they come out of the habit of being like that. That's one thing. But as far as accountability, everybody has their I treat every person based on themselves. I'm not gonna if she did this to me and he did this to me, I'm not gonna judge them for doing the same thing to me if we had this type of relationship that led up to that, and we had this type of relationship that led up to that. I treat each person according to their specific, our specific interaction. So it's
Okay.
about how the feeling that I have towards them and my accountability of whether I'm willing to take that or not.
Interesting. Interesting. Kingpin, now what do
Yeah,
you
but
got
that's
to
just
say?
me.
That's very interesting. I think I agree a lot with what she said, but a lot of relationships can be fixed or repaired. A lot of toxic relationships, in my eyes, can't. So in the past, dealing with relationships, exes, and stuff like that, it was so toxic to the point that my health got, what I'm saying, jeopardized, and my living situation was jeopardized. And, I can't see my kids because my girlfriend, what I'm saying, my baby mama think that my kid is in, a bad situation, this, that, and the third, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes like that you just gotta cut them off, you know what I'm saying? Because one my health is more important. Two, my relationship with my kids is very, very important, and I don't need you or your toxic ways to jeopardize, you know my relationship with either my kids or my family or the people that really do love me and that don't cause drama and chaos in my life. Like they said, that peace, you gotta protect your peace. So
Interesting. Interesting. Mr. Love?
Y'all gonna be mad, but I had to get up and go to the bathroom. So I don't know what the question was. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can toxic relationship be fixed? And before you answer that question, and this is after this person is willing to accept the behavior, they're willing to take responsibility. Do you really feel that toxic relationship is fixable?
Yes, if that person is willing to change, and if that person is willing to accept that person ways, so it wouldn't be toxic anymore if that person accept their ways and agree to change, right? It shouldn't be toxic anymore if they agree to change. It's both people equally agree to change, then it shouldn't be toxic anymore. Of course, they take time to grow, but
agreeing to change and changing is two different things.
no, well,
Nope,
I was saying
nope,
this. Say
nope, nope.
no, I was saying this. Say this. Of course, a person is gonna agree, and of course, a person have to see. if that person changed, right? But that take time. You know what I'm saying? And it just depends on if that person, if it's fast enough for that person going too slow, it just depends on that too. But anybody could change. It just depends on how fast you want that person to change, and if you want to deal with it or wait until that person change.
Mr. Kingpin?
I feel like if a person has toxic ways and they've known that they have toxic ways, now somebody has pointed it out and they have to finally accept responsibility. It shouldn't be something that it takes a long time to change, because this is what causes the problem. So it's either you stop or you don't. It's not like you just keep going and slowly, gradually stop doing it. You know what's wrong. This is the problem. Fix it. Other than
But
that, you gotta
so
go.
let me ask you this: with this behavior, let's call it a habit. Can it be broken just that fast?
A habit can't be broken,
Yeah.
but like if it's a behavior, like if it just depends on how long you've been showing these traits, because some people know that they do this and they just, because they know that they do it, it's normal to them, so it's like it don't bother me because I'm used to it. You know what I'm saying? Just like I wake up with a mole on my hand, I'm gonna wake up with that mole every time I go to sleep. I'm gonna wake up with that same mole. So
So
if
let
you
me
know
say
that
that
this is a problem, you have to be responsible and change, you know.
for example, me myself, uh, with my girl. My girl told me, "Hey, look, I feel like I'm not top priority." Right now, of course, the stuff that I was doing, I was busy doing, doing work and stuff like that. I thought I was just doing normal stuff, but to her, I wasn't, and I wasn't putting her top priority. Right. It took some time for me to gradually, get out of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only reason why I say it take time. It just depends on if she's willing or if that person is willing to, take time to understand it.
All
Yeah.
right, Bia.
Um, Toxic traits, habits. Habits are formed, and it's formed over time. So for someone to get up out of it, it takes time. Just as much time it took them to form that habit, it takes them even longer to release it, because it's a stronghold. It's a comfort place. So that whatever they're doing, it makes them comfortable in their space, and they have to work on that to get up out of it. To find what they'll do, they'll find another comfort space to take over that. But at least it's not hopefully it's not another toxic space. And I understand what you were saying as far as it's what you'll tolerate, what you'll put up with. When you say, okay, this person, I'm going to let them back into my life. It's all about what you'll tolerate, because what you'll tolerate, I won't. What I'll tolerate, you won't. So, like you said, you'll let your girlfriend, you'll cut her off, but your man, you'll keep him, because that's my man. What he does for me, she don't do for me, and my tolerance for him may be a little bit higher. But for somebody else, my cutoff game is deep.
But to me, I mean, even going back to that, it's messed up, because when you have a women to women relationship, we're oftentimes the one helping picking your ass up off the floor, reviving your ass, pumping your ass back together after you done crying about this nigga and shit and this and that. And then when you go back over there, it's all good. But then we can fall out about the pettiest stuff, and I have no value to you.
Right. And I understand that. I understand wholeheartedly what you're saying. But it's just like it's that way with women and they man. It's just that way.
That's something new. I'm learning.
Drinking my
But I mean, we're not gonna say all women are like that. Would you say toxic women?
No, I won't say all women, but you can say toxic women that enjoy toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And that's why they put up with so much from a man, because it be fear, don't want to get out of the relationship, because I feel like I'm not gonna get nobody else. But you'll tolerate the bull crap that you're getting from this one. and don't realize a closed mouth can't get fed. If you close your fist like this, you can't get nothing in it. You got to release the toxicity to get what you want, but you got to change within first. Because if that's what you like,
Mm.
if that's what you like, you're gonna attract that again.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to
You hit
change
my
that
soul.
toxicity in you that attracted that for you to attract something better.
Girl, you just hit my soul. Stop
And
talking.
quick question for
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mr. Love. When your girlfriend told you this stuff that you needed to change, did you start changing the next day? I mean, at least, start some type of process, or did it take a month? Did it take a week? What did it take?
Well, it started. So at first it was kind of hard because it's hard to mix. For me, I was single for so long. It's hard to mix, especially when somebody comes in. I guess I guess I had to set boundaries for family, had to set
Mm-hmm.
boundaries for personal life, had to set boundaries for like relationship. I guess that what I didn't understand, setting some type of boundaries or some type of space or time for relationship stuff, And not saying that I didn't spend time with her. Um it's just that when I'm doing music or I'm in the studio, or I'm zoned out. Like that's so music is my comfort zone. That's how I release. So sometimes I probably didn't call her back after a late session, or stuff that I felt like, oh, this is my music, this is what I do. But now I see that it was causing a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
um it it didn't take me that long to see it, but it's well for that's pretty simple to change, but it didn't take me a long time to change that.
But
Okay.
even what he did as far as his change, that was something easy to change.
Right.
A toxic trait, something that you form, a habit you formed over time, that's something hard because you don't see
Mm-hmm.
the wrong in what you're doing. You don't see the wrong in
Mm.
that. I've been doing it so long. It's like you putting on your coat to go outside. Put your panties on. Put your socks
Yeah.
on. That's how that toxic trait is. They carry that toxic trait everywhere they go. They wake up toxic.
Mm.
They go to bed toxic. And the only time they know what they're doing is if somebody open up their mouth and say something. Don't do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Oh shoot,
And if enough people tell you you stepping on my foot, ouch, you'll
Mm-hmm.
stop doing it.
Yeah.
what's so sad about that is when you do tell them,
Hmm.
they go instantly into
Defense
defense
mode.
mode.
Yes,
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
go.
Exactly.
because they
Like,
already
what the
Yes.
fuck
know.
is you
They
saying? I
already
ain't
Right.
even
know.
finna say.
Right,
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
they
right. That's so
already know.
crazy.
They know it's
Mm-hmm.
a toxic trait, but that's a comfort place for them. That's their stronghold. That's what keeps them safe from whatever they're covering up from. Because you got a lot of toxic people are very angry and
Yeah.
bitter.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm,
get
mm,
angry and get bitter because that
mm.
covers up the pain that's within them.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm, mm.
Can I go next?
Yeah, Xavier.
I'm sorry. She so, um, I had a little toxic person or whatever, Before me and this person was talking, whatever, I just wasn't opening up to the person like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't
Mhm.
really just let the person in. I ain't just really talk like that because I'm really about my peace. You know what I'm saying? Everything about me just needs to be with me. So, anyway, make a long story short, um, as time went by, I started noticing little toxic shit. You know what I'm saying? I just started picking up as, we just kept talking and shit. And it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, bitch, do you want to deal with this? Or you want to wait it out and see
Mhm.
what this person gonna do? So, I waited it out, you know what I'm saying? This nigga done got a new job and shit, boo boo boo. So I'm thinking, okay, this, calm you down a little bit. Like, you ain't gotta be too toxic, just. So anyway, so this one particular day, we had went downtown. We just, cruising the city and shit, just getting out type shit. Y'all, when I say this motherfucker was getting on my nerves from when I picked them up to the motherfucking downtown, I said, bitch, you finna go home. I ain't got time for this shit, yo. I don't have to stand for this. Like, why you being like that? Why you acting like that? And we've been talking for a long time, y'all. I'm thinking at this point you done changed something by now. But you
Right.
still bringing up old shit. You still bringing up this. You still mad about that. Bitch, I ain't got to deal with that. So yes, toxic cannot be fixed. I feel like it can't be fixed. Now, unless you just really deep down inside, you want to fix something and you really miss this person or whatever fuck you got going, cool. But I'm gonna have to see it. You gotta do it fast. Cause I ain't out there waiting and shit. If you already know you toxic, nah, I ain't waiting. Nah, you can't wait for me. Mm-mm.
I don't
I'm
believe
straight.
toxic can't be fixed. I believe it
Shit.
can be fixed. It can be.
Shit.
But the person that has the toxic traits have to acknowledge it first.
Do what I'm saying, but are you gonna really take them steps to change
No,
who you is?
but that's on them. You don't have to deal with them.
You right.
That's the job for them to do. You now I done told you you got toxic traits. Now as long as you acknowledge it, you got to fix that. That's
So,
on you. Now I'm gonna protect my peace. I'm gonna leave you over there, and I'm going over
Mm-hmm.
here.
before we get to Dick Tracy, let me ask Kingpin a question. So when in your situation where you got, kids involved and baby mamas is playing with you being a father and stuff, how do you when you're dealing with something for you got to deal with 18 years, how do you operate with that? Cuz you got to keep going.
Well, I actually do that. Keep going. So, if you don't let me get them, you don't let me see them. I don't let it keep me from moving forward with my life or my relationship or, my job or whatever. I don't allow it to hinder, you know, my accomplishment, should I say, or at least, doing what I want to do in life. I mean, my kids is very important to me, but at the end of the day, I feel like they'll understand when they get older, just like, anybody that was in the last podcast. Like I had a troubling childhood. I ain't know my family, so you know what I'm saying? So my situation is different. So being a father to me is what it is. Like that's just all I got left. Cause all I do is work at home. Then when I get to see my kids, whatever, that's what y'all want to do.
Mhm.
And that be what
Have
it
you?
is. But being in a relationship with like being in a relationship with a female and and you got kids is already hard, because a lot of
Mhm.
females don't do men with kids. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? But it's a lot of men out there that'll date a woman with kids. You know what I'm saying? So with that type of situation, the baby mom always, want to know what you got going on or who your kids around or this, that, and the third. You know, although you wouldn't put your kids in harm's way, she don't know that. So until you put her in that situation, this is what we're going to go through. And before
Mhm.
I put
Mm.
you in this situation, we're going to go through this.
Mhm.
Go to child support. We're going to go to court. I'm going to go through it. I don't care how long it take, but I'm not going to allow you to know I don't know. I don't let my left hand know what my right hand.
Mhm.
Mm. Mm.
So this
Have you?
relationship is my relationship, not yours. So you don't need to know what's going on in this relationship. You just need to
Mhm.
know he is with his father and he is good. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of parental alienation? It's a real thing. A lot of courts don't acknowledge it because they don't think it's a real thing, but it's a real thing. It's called parental alienation, where the other parent likes to do manipulative things to keep the other parent from the child. It's a real thing. Look it up.
Yeah. I'm gonna
And
look that
and
up.
if you ever have to go to court, bring that up. Parental alienation.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Looks like we have a new face in the building. Miss Nicia, how are you doing today?
How y'all doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing
Raise your
good.
hand up for us right quick so we can hear you globally.
Click the
Okay.
box. Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
That's good. Hey Zay. Hey y'all. Hey King. Hey Teray. Hey
What's the
Shay.
good?
Hey Miss B. Hey Infinite. And
Hey.
hey Deep Tracy. I said everybody name
All
here.
right. To,
Hey Nicia.
today's topic is tainted and toxic. How do you deal with people without being poisoned? So,
Okay.
what are some ways that you avoid or work around dealing with toxic people on a consistent basis when you have to deal with them on a consistent basis?
Mm, toxic people. I try to avoid that. I try to keep my peace as much as possible. But if you can't avoid it, cause obviously they gonna come around. But to avoid that, I just me personally, I argue back with them. Cause that's just me. Cause
You
that's
know
just
that
me.
that's
I'm
toxic. That's
kind of I'm toxic as fuck too, so I can be toxic. But me, I have changed a lot though from being who I used to be. I grew up a lot, but to me, I just rather keep my peace than anything. So I could just I try to tell myself to just go on by my business, ignore it, and just go on by my business and just keep my peace as possible
So
and
is
let
it
it go.
so is it safe to say for you that when you met toxicity with toxicity, it just turned out to be more toxic?
Yeah, it's much worse. Yes, much worse.
All right.
So I rather just ignore it. That's why I learned it now. I'm learning that now. That's a good topic because I'm learning that now to let go of toxic people.
Okay. And before we get to Dick Trace, let me ask you this quick question, Miss Nicia. Do you feel like it can be fixed when people are willing to accept their behavior? Is it able to fix this relationship with you?
Yeah, they willing to change it. If they willing to change, yeah. I guess that's what you saying. If they willing to change, yeah.
Even if you've witnessed years and years of toxicity?
Oh nah. If it is toxicity, you done weak. You old weak.
Hmm.
Cut off game.
All right, Trey, what do you have to say?
um, yeah, I think everybody's opinion differs. We all got our different experiences from dealing with toxic people and stuff like that. So, as a toxic person, as a former toxic person, um, I was in a relationship. I guess I was in a toxic relationship, and both of us we had our toxic ways. For me, I I would get in my moods because I was hurt on the inside. I was suffering from like you said, like I was suffering from a lot of pain on the inside. And so whenever I got into my moods, I made sure that she knew about it and at inconvenient times for her. So it would be like on a date night or if we were going to the movies or if we were going to the parks um or holiday like I was terrible like that. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I knew I was selfish. I knew I didn't want to be with her. I knew she wasn't the one that I wanted to be with, but I was lonely and I didn't want to be alone. And I was selfish and I was toxic towards her. And she had her ways too. I could sit here all day and make her the blame about all this shit, oh she's responsible for this and that. But I played my part in it too, as well. And the difference is I think it just depends on your situation. We can all say yes it will, no it won't, but it just depends on your kind of situation and the people that you dealing with. If you just always used to dealing with toxic people, then your perspective on whether or not if it can be fixed is going to be a no or, a yes. That's going to be your perspective. But I think for me as a former toxic person, I started to realize, damn, I'm getting mad and I'm ruining this beautiful girl's time for no reason other than the fact that I'm mad. So let me start letting her know. Let me start communicating to her that when she's in a really good mood, especially when I saw she was in a good mood. I don't know why it was just like, what triggered? Let me just get mad. Let me ruin that shit for her. So I started saying to myself, instead of doing that, let me communicate to her that, hey, I'm not in a good mood right now and I don't want to ruin your mood. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for a drive for maybe like 30 minutes or an hour or something, and I'm gonna come back. Or I'm gonna go in the other room, I'm gonna play with the piano real quick, and then we can come back out and we can talk. The point is I was willing, I recognized my toxic ways and I was willing to make a change and I made that change. I made that change
Mm-hmm.
almost instantly. But the issue here is that the relationship wasn't going to work because she was one of those people who, and I'd never figured this out. Either she didn't know what she was doing because that was just the way she grew up, the way she was doing shit was
Mm-hmm.
toxic, or she knew what she was doing and didn't give a fuck. And I didn't know which one was worse, being
Mm-hmm.
ignorant or just being not having empathy. Like I didn't know which one was
Right.
worse. So can it work out? I think it can if both parties recognize their toxic ways and are willing to
Mm-hmm.
make a change. And you
Yes.
can change. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can
Mhm.
change.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
changed. Former toxic person.
Most
Yep.
And I
definitely.
changed. I say that shit proudly.
we we
Same.
hear it. We definitely
I mean,
hear it.
Toxic can also be contagious.
Mm.
Yes.
You can
Mm.
make a non-toxic person toxic because of your toxicity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me ask
Okay.
you all this. What is the difference between toxicity and abuse?
Mm.
They go together
Right. Facts.
Are you
because
Clearly.
you
talking
use your
physical
toxic
abuse?
ways to abuse me.
Verbally too.
Mm-hmm. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's verbally, emotionally, mentally.
Yep.
hmm
Come on. Mm-hmm.
You use your toxic ways to abuse me. That's abuse. That's domestic violence in its finest.
So would you say is levels to it? Because Dick Tracy just admitted to being toxic, but he didn't just admit to. I was saying I'm a domestic violence abuser.
Facts.
Well, that
Facts.
was domestic violence
Oh.
because he abused another person and he knew what he was doing.
I would say it's domestic abuse because I never laid hands on a woman. So
hmm
I won't agree to that like it being domestic violence, but I'll say it was domestic abuse on my end because I did abuse her emotionally. I
hmm
abused her
Come
in
on,
that way.
brother. Come on.
Thank you for
But
Accountability.
also,
Come on.
Thank you
domestic
for that.
domestic violence isn't always physical. We got to remember that it's not always physical. The abuse that you cause her internally, that's violence that you cause upon her spirit. You cause upon her mental. You cause upon her peace. That was violence. It doesn't always have to be, oh, I slapped her. No. My words, your words can cause people to crumble
Yeah.
and be destroyed.
Mm.
Xavier,
Ain't no name Xavier.
Is it me?
you had something to say. You had something to say earlier.
Whew. Ice.
Nah, girl, go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
He like, who, me?
So would you say toxicity is a strategy that kind of leads to abuse? So like I'm trying to break Shay down. Some men like to break
Hell
state women's
yeah.
down. So I'm
Yes,
gonna
they
sprinkle
do.
all this toxicity so I can get her where I need her to be at.
They do it on purpose to get you to get under to get under your skin.
I can't hear you, Xavier. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
They do it to get under your skin because they know they're gonna fuck with you. This shit gonna break you down, and they'll get you right out of
Mhm.
character. So hell yeah, I definitely agree with it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So how do we move forward from this? We've acknowledged it. We're looking at it. They say they want to change. How do we move forward? And do we move forward on the same note? Can we even get back to where we were? Or do we have to create a whole new space?
Hit the road, Jack. You can't come back no more. I don't
So
think
start.
so. I'm sorry, my bad. I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, you go
Starting
ahead.
with
Like go
starting
back
with.
and move on from that.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. I mean,
Okay.
no, they can move. They can move on from the toxic people 100%.
But
But
do you think a person could change from being toxic?
no,
Mm,
it
I don't
depends
think
on how hard they go for you. But other than that,
Mhm.
you know the fuck you been doing. You know what's going on. So now I ain't don't even waste my time, pimp. I
so.
would
Right.
deal with
I,
somebody else.
I truly believe you need to move on. Even let them stay in their space and do their healing. and
Right.
you do yours in a separate zone.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, and I believe in your healing. You're gonna do this, but I gotta go on about myself because I gotta heal myself from what you have, the damage you've done to me. There's no way you can still be in the same space with someone that's supposed to be healing, because all they're gonna do is
Mm.
continue
Mm.
to do you the
Doing the
way they've been
same
doing
shit.
you. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck,
They said that.
girl.
Mm-hmm. They
Shay,
said. That's said. Mm-hmm.
how do you feel about it? How do we move forward, and can we move forward?
Me, type person I am. I believe there's levels to everything. There's levels to what they gave me, and there'll be levels to how I respond to it. And so when I see certain behaviors that automatically goes against my morals or values, it's an automatic cutoff. If it's something that's a little bit more petty, that's more of a habit more than the malicious intent,
Mm.
or yeah, I can respond differently. So it's levels to everything. It's never with me. It's never set in stone. It's always just for the whole gist of it. It's definitely levels to it. But
Hmm.
yeah, when I see that it's something that I know that I can't stand for, it's over with. It's nothing else to that because I can't stand for that. If it's something that's petty, and when I say petty, something might bother me, but it's not life altering. It's not gonna change my physique. Anything that might damage my energy is what, yeah, depending on how hard it affects me. So yeah, anything
Okay.
that comes from my energy is automatically cut out. Anything that's like petty, and it might be petty to me, and sometimes it be unknowingly. Some people may have traits and they don't understand that they have those traits because no one's pointed out to them or explained it in a way for them to change. And so with different people, different situations, I definitely judge them based on their specific surroundings of um what led up to that point. But for the most part, yeah, I cut them off. My block game's strong. Anybody that VR with me, I control my experiences, whether it's in life, whether it's in here. And so anybody in IRL in here will be cut off if it's something I'm not even going to attempt to put my energy into changing.
Okay. Okay. Kingpin, how do we move forward? You on mute.
Okay, I ain't say too much anyway, so shoot. Let me get up. All right, so how do we move forward? So as far as like acknowledgement and fixing the issue, or it's
Yeah,
just
is it forgive and forget? Is you cutting these folks off? But in your situations, you can't just cut them off because you still got to deal with them. So what does your moving forward would look like? Is it through
my
the
moving
court
forward?
system?
Yeah, I mean, it might take me a minute to get there because I work so much and I gotta kind of provide a life for myself. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta work as much as I can, save, and get myself set up so when I do go to the courthouse, I have something to show the court like I'm stable, I'm, reliable, been on my job for a long time. Consistency, pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And if I have somewhere for my son or my kids to lay their head when they come over, it's a better chance that if I do ask for 50-50 or joint custody or full custody, it's a better chance of me actually getting it. So that's what I do moving forward. I don't get in no more
Hmm.
altercations. I don't talk to them, no nothing.
Could you
Wow,
ever
man.
revive those relationships back to the level that they originally were at, dude, with all that toxic that toxicity that has already occurred and the damages that have been done?
Oh, dang.
She asking for magic.
That's horrible.
She asking for
He said
magic.
he could say
Okay.
no.
My situation, I cut my foot off before.
Dang.
Damn.
I cut both of my foot off before. Matter of fact, I just killed myself before I go back.
I got
Oh,
you.
man.
Yeah,
Is
you went
that
from foot to
is
the
that
body.
yeah. I mean,
Man.
because of the extent of the, situation, I know what. going back or do. It ain't gonna do nothing but start all over, relight the fuse into the ticking time bomb, and back into this snowball. And I'm not.
Hey, bro. Hey, I'm gonna pray for you, bro. My older brother going through the same thing, bro. Trying to
But
get going through the court system, trying to get his son back. I mean, my nephew back.
yeah,
Yeah.
certain states got different laws when it comes to that child
Mm-hmm.
support and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So like down
Yeah.
here, they for the women. So like I'm already fighting a losing battle. So all I gotta do is either keep fighting until I die or fight until they give up.
Right.
Yeah.
My brother literally doing the same thing.
All right, Mr. Love, how do we move forward? Can we move forward?
Well, you can move forward and kind of like piggybacking on what we said earlier when we start. Well, I mean, what I said, setting boundaries and just understanding like when you see a toxic trait or that person is being toxic and telling that person that and just holding that person holding their selves accountable for it. So you can move forward. I mean that person can, but I don't know about the person that toxic. I don't know, but yeah, as far as you as a person, you can. And what Shay was saying is it's really how much you could tolerate. Depend, with
Mm-hmm.
anybody. It's literally all about that how much you could tolerate, whether it's petty or something big or something small. So
It's something that Xavier said earlier that I just thought about with toxic people. They do bring up the past a lot. It's like they can't be in the
Mm-hmm.
future for some reason. And when I asked this question about when can it be fixed, one I noticed with that bad of a trait of constantly staying in the past is a lot of times what prevents them to why we can't move this shit forward in the future. It's like something's literally preventing you from not being in the future.
They want you to stay toxic with them. They don't want you to
Mm-hmm.
see you prosper. That's all they
Yeah.
want you to
Mm-mm.
do. So anytime they see you moving forward, they bring up the old shit. Then they want you to talk about it. Bring you back to the fuck that.
Yes. Oh
Pimp
God.
bad. You ain't finna bring me back to this same level you on. This shit
Mm-mm.
old as fuck. What you want me to do to go to court with you about it? Hey shit, you like what you want? I'm giving you every answer that I can give. What the fuck you want me to say?
Yeah.
So they just want you to stay toxic with them. That's all it is.
Bia.
Mm. This how you do it.
not the not the,
Not the service. Not the
yeah,
service.
not the Kojic.
That is a cold.
Yes, that's how you do
Okay.
it.
Come on,
Hey,
come
with
on.
With
That's
that
how
one
you
I'm
do
finger.
it.
come
The
on.
one finger.
go.
And
Come
move
on.
up out the way.
Period.
And move up
Mm-hmm.
out the way. You
Mm.
move funny, and I moved up out the way.
Yeah, sometimes you'll
Hello.
need the finger.
Oh,
Walk up
That's
out
yeah.
this
right.
thing.
Just keep
Yeah,
it
my
moving.
thumb and just keep it
Right.
rotating that
Keep it
way.
moving. Keep it
Keep it
moving.
Look, hit her with
moving.
that Shawnee O'Neal. Thank you for your
Oh,
services.
okay, I'm out. I'm out. Hmm. And you know what? The crazy part of it is that you are the best part of the relationship.
Hello.
And because we don't acknowledge that we are the best part of the relationship, we allow people to hurt us.
Mm,
We got
Mm.
to first acknowledge we are the best part of the relationship and stop tolerating toxicity and stop tolerating people who are used to hurting other people
yeah.
because it has become a habit for them. And because that's a comfort place for them, they want it to be a comfort place for you.
Mm,
No, you're not gonna drag me out like some piece of meat a shark done grab. No, no, you're not gonna do it because what that does, it causes a snowball effect. They're toxic. You're toxic. Your kids become toxic. Everybody that comes into your circle becomes toxic. No, let's stop the toxicity now.
yeah.
We're going to vow today to not allow toxic people in our lives and stop the toxicity in ourselves because
Amen.
that's something that we got to stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Miss Nicia,
Hmm.
how do how do we move forward? How have you moved forward in this new life that you're living of not being toxic? Have you been having new friends and you're, not being toxic with them, or have you found yourself trying to cross back over to the toxic side? What has your experience been like?
Okay, so let me tell you this. Okay, so when I first got with
Raise your
my
hand for
ex
me because I can
husband,
barely hear you.
when can y'all hear me?
Now we
Okay,
can.
can y'all hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
so when I first got with my ex husband, I used to be so toxic. I'm gonna tell y'all this, so toxic. I was like, oh, let me go through your phone. Let me do this. Oh, who you talk to? I'm yelling at this. I'm yelling at this nigga about every petty little situation. Um, and he was toxic too, and I was toxic back. But as I got like older, cause I was 20 years old when I met him. But as I got older, I was like, nah, that's not for me. I'm not finna be like keep being toxic. You know, you a grown man, I'm a grown woman. Look, we gotta look at ways of how to communicate, how to, you know, agree to disagree on things. And I used to just say like, "Hey, can we just have a conversation?" Like when I'm mad, I just be like, "I'm going in my room." While I don't say nothing to him, and he'd be like, "What's wrong? Oh, now you don't want to talk to me. He yelling at me, trying to make me yell at him. Like, look, I'm going outside for like 10 seconds. I'm going in my car, trying to calm myself down. Then I come back in the house, say, "You ready to talk?" And I'm calm down. I'm like, "You ready to talk?" Cause I don't want to do all the yelling like I used to do. So it
Mm-hmm.
took a lot. Um, so we started on that. It'll be like he'll bring up the past or how I used to yell, and I was just like give up. I just be like, okay, I'm done with this conversation. I'm going in the room. I'll try every little thing just to ignore him. I put on headphones just to ignore his, the toxicity. Because when he used to drink and he's like, he started there yelling. I just shut the door, lock the door, and I put on my earphone just so I won't hear it. That's what I used to do. And I still do it to this day. Like, until somebody really pissed me off, then I argue with them. But I'll try to, diffuse it or just leave it
Mm-hmm.
alone. But other than that, I meet new friends, and when I meet new friends, I want the friends to be positive.
Right.
Not, I could notice everybody is still on their learning journey, so you could tell who's got a little toxic. It depends on the person. Like Shayar said, it depends on how much you could tolerate. And
Right.
I heard people say, "This is who I am," and I'm just like, "You could change that, because if I could change some of my toxic ways, you could change too."
Mm.
I'm still a little toxic, but I'm still in learning. I'm still a learning stepstone. I'm still learning. I'm 26 years old, and I don't want to be toxic. I know that, but I'm still learning because I grew up in a toxic home. It comes from what you grew up in. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta learn to get rid of them black, that generational curses, them
Mm.
generational toxicness. So that's what I'm learning now. So yes, you could get away from it. Cause if you're tired of it, of course you gonna get the fuck away.
Yes.
They
Do you
cut off.
think
Mm-hmm.
your toxic traits was contagious to him? Because you said you
I
started
think
in your
it
relationship
started
being
it started
toxic.
in my well it started in my from what I learned from my parents how I was supposed to be because I saw how my parents were. So that's how I was like, okay, da 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 this, and then my dad left me,
Mm-hmm.
so I had abandonment issues too. So I'm like, da da this, every little thing, every message I'm yelling, he yelling back at me because of what he was going through with his parents. So I think it's a learning trait that we had to learn
Mm-hmm.
together. But he never learned. I had to learn like to grow up, but he ain't never learned to grow up.
He gonna learn. He gonna learn.
Mm.
He's still living. He's still breathing. He'll learn.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes
So
women mature faster than men. He's
right,
gonna learn. He got his time in to learn as well.
right. So yeah, I think we can move. I think I can move on. People can move on. Just
Mm-hmm.
depends on the person.
All
I'm gonna
right,
take a
Trey.
seat.
And we appreciate that, Miss Nicia.
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
How do
So
we move forward?
Okay, hold on. Yeah, like just kind of piggybacking off what everybody else just said here. Um, that person, that person in that relationship that you with, like me and my ex girl, there was no moving forward. There would never have been any moving forward between us because of obviously I was toxic in my ways, she was also toxic in her ways, and we were just never going to work together. Like I said, only one of us were willing to actually take the time to sit down and talk about it. Um, you know, try to make things work, but in that kind of thing, I don't think in my opinion you can move forward from a relationship, a toxic relationship. You just have to kind of, like B said, and Shay said, you kind of move out, get out, go heal, go go do what you need to do to get to where you need to be, so you're not where you're at right now. And if you can look back 5 years from now, I always like to do this like 5 year increment
Oh no,
thing,
it's coming.
where am I in a better situation now than I was 5 years ago in every aspect, emotionally,
Hmm.
spiritually, financially? Am I in a better position now than I was 5 years ago? And if I can say yes to that, then all right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep on getting to that next 5 year mark and try to do better. But I cannot do better with you. If it's me and
mm-mm,
you and we're in a toxic relationship, I can't do it. Maybe
mm-mm.
some point in the future when we're both on, if you're on AM and I'm on FM and I'm trying to reach satellite radio, maybe if we both
Yeah.
get to satellite radio sometime 10 years in the future, perhaps, maybe. But overall, no.
Mm-mm.
All right. And before we close on now, Miss Zaria, thank you for joining us. Do you have any words that you would like to add for, dealing with toxic people and how not to become poisoned when dealing with those people?
Um,
Raise your
honestly,
hand for us right quick.
you hear me?
Uh-uh.
You hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm going through something as of right now, so I'm probably ain't gonna be the best one on advice to that. But like one thing I stand on is protecting my energy and remembering that not every reaction needs a reaction basically. So it's certain stuff that I feel like it's just certain stuff that I can't fix or can't change out of certain people, and that's understandable. Everybody matures when they mature on their own time. But for me, I'm gonna protect my energy. So I feel like when it comes to that toxic stuff, I don't want nothing to do with it. And I'm just gonna eliminate myself from the equation at all costs. I don't care if you're a family, friend, or relative. When it comes to protecting my energy, I'm heavy on that and I got no time to be going backwards. So only thing I can say is, yeah, just protect your peace.
Okay.
That's all I
All
can
right.
say.
All right. We're gonna go around the room and say our final thoughts, our final words of encouragement for people that are dealing with a toxic person on a consistent basis, and they're just at their wits' end on how to get this situation better. Miss Arts.
Advice I would give is it's all about you. It's about what's best for you, and you come first before anybody. So it ain't nothing to cut them off. And I'm an Aries. We stubborn. Either we gonna stick with it, we gonna let you go. And that's it.
All right, Mr. Kingpin. I think that man split. Kingpin.
Oh wow.
Okay.
You got any final words or remarks,
Yeah.
please?
Final
You
words.
got
Final
any
word.
final words before you exit?
Yeah, for men
Nope,
that are
I
going
don't.
through your same situation, for people that can relate
Okay,
to you and
Not gonna hit them on
your
camera.
experience.
okay. So
I still got this
yo, so for for men who having issues with you know the baby moms and dealing with relationships and how to deal with that, just keep your relationship with your significant other and the relationship with your baby mother separate. If you cannot co-parent, then get the courts involved.
All right. Sound advice, Mr. Love.
Man, protect your peace and guard your heart. That's it.
Ooh. Be aroma.
After you've done all you can, you just exit.
Not the A and B selection from the Mass Choir.
All right, Mrs. Avion.
Protect your peace. Don't set a list for nobody. Um, if you really feel like you need to talk that shit first. But at the end of the day, move on. Don't fall for the negative energy. And that's about it for me.
All right. Tracy.
What they said.
Okay. And all I have to say is just know your worth. It's definitely not worth wasting your time, because life is too short to be wasting time dealing with liabilities. So all asset, no liabilities. And
Come
with that
on.
being
Come
said,
on.
Fact.
you all have a blessed night. Thank you.
Hey.